Captain Jake Morrison stood at the center of the UES Discovery, his eyes fixed on the endless stars spilling across the main viewing screen. For 3 years, this ship, Earth's pride, Earth's hope, had traveled deeper into the cosmos than any human vessel before it. The Discovery was more than a ship. It was a statement. 200 meters of fusion-driven technology, capable of nearly light-speed travel, carrying 43 of humanity's finest minds, scientists, engineers, navigators, soldiers, and dreamers. To Captain Morrison, it was the culmination of every childhood story, every late night spent reading about explorers who once crossed oceans, chasing the unknown. Now humanity was crossing oceans of stars. And today, the unknown was no longer theoretical. The ship's long-range sensors had detected artificial energy signatures in the Kepler 442 system. Not natural phenomena. Not stray radiation. But structured, intentional signals. For 3 days, the crew had lived with the weight of that knowledge, that they were on the threshold of the first meeting between humanity and another intelligence. Lieutenant Amy Parker, her hands steady but her eyes betraying her nerves, checked their coordinates for the 5th time in an hour. Position confirmed, Captain. We're inside the outer system. Behind her, Dr. Ben Rodriguez calibrated scanning arrays, muttering to himself with the excitement of a scientist who could feel history pressing down on him. Power systems I can barely make sense of. Materials that bend the readings themselves. Whoever built this, Captain, they are centuries ahead of us. Jake kept his voice calm, but the tremor of awe ran through him as well. Then let's hope they're also centuries wiser. It was supposed to be the moment humanity stopped being alone in the dark. But the galaxy has never been kind to those who dream too brightly. Amy's voice cut through the tension. Multiple ships detected, 2 million kilometers ahead. 5 large vessels. Formation. Jake leaned over her display. The alien vessels dwarfed the Discovery. Their hulls were sleek and utterly foreign, designs that no human imagination had predicted, their power signatures burning so intensely they made Earth's most advanced warships look primitive. Weapons. Shields. Technology beyond comprehension. Jake's first instinct was the right one, communication. Open all channels. Broadcast our greeting package, languages, math, symbols of peace. The comms officer obeyed, sending humanity's first message into the void, we come in peace. We seek knowledge. We are not your enemy. The crew held their breath as the signal crossed the gulf of space. The silence that followed seemed to stretch across eternity. Then the alien ships moved. Their formation tightened with military precision, closing the distance with the unmistakable posture of predators. No response, the comms officer said. His voice cracked despite his training. They're holding radio silence. Amy's console lit red. Captain, they've locked weapons on us. Jake's heart froze. This was impossible. This was not how first contact was supposed to happen. The Discovery was an exploration vessel, unarmed, unthreatening, offering only peace. Yet the aliens moved with the confidence of executioners. Dr. Rodriguez whispered what everyone else already knew. They're not curious. They're preparing to kill us. The first blast slammed into the Discovery's shields, rattling every bulkhead. Warning klaxons screamed. Amy reported in a steady but strained voice, shields down to 60%. Captain, they're tearing through us. Broadcast again. Jake shouted, clinging to the last hope that this was a mistake. Tell them we seek no harm. But the only answer came in the form of fire. Another barrage struck. The bridge shook violently, consoles sparking, lights flickering. The crew clung to their stations as the ship shuddered under forces it was never designed to withstand. They're charging weapons for a killing blow, Amy said, her voice raw. Captain, we can't survive this. Jake knew the truth, the Discovery could not outrun, outfight, or outlast these ships. Their only chance, if it could even be called that, was the hyperspace drive. Prepare emergency jump. The drive began spooling, but the alien ships were too close, their weapons too powerful. The next blast ripped through the engineering section. Fire tore through decks. The hum of the ship, the heartbeat of the Discovery, faltered. Jake could do nothing as his ship, his dream, his crew were annihilated around him. In what should have been humanity's greatest triumph, the bridge dissolved into flame and twisted steel. 17 escape pods tore free in the chaos, scattering like desperate sparks into the void. Amy Parker was the last he saw before the fire consumed the bridge. Her face pale, her hands slamming the pod release. Then nothing but fire. The Discovery, humanity's beacon to the stars, died in silence. Of 43 souls, only 17 lived long enough to tell the story. Amy's pod drifted for days before a rescue drone intercepted her transmission. Her message, cracked by static and blood loss, carried across the solar system until it reached Earth. And with it came the truth that shattered humanity's illusions. We found them. They attacked first. No warning. No mercy. In a bunker deep beneath Colorado's mountains, General Lisa Hayes listened to that message. Operation Silent Thunder had prepared for many possibilities, but not this. Not peaceful explorers slaughtered without provocation. As Amy's voice broke across the speakers, Lisa knew the era of dreaming was over. The galaxy was not waiting to welcome humanity with open arms. It was waiting to kill them. And in that moment, humanity, the species that had spent millennia perfecting war even against itself, finally understood what was required. Lisa turned to her staff, her voice cold. Activate protocols. Bring everything online. If they want predators, then predators they shall have. Because the galaxy had made a fatal mistake. They had drawn first blood. And in time, they would learn what it meant to awaken a species that had survived every war it had ever fought. What do you think, explorers? If humanity's first contact ended not in peace, but in blood, how would we respond? Would we still seek friendship, or vengeance? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, because in part 2, humanity's true power begins to awaken. The message from Lieutenant Amy Parker spread across Earth like wildfire. It was not broadcast on the evening news. It was not debated in open forums. No government official stood before cameras to explain it. Instead, it slipped silently into the hands of the few who had been preparing for this possibility all along. General Lisa Hayes listened to the last words of the Discovery's crew again and again, her face expressionless, though her knuckles whitened against the steel table. The words were burned into her memory, they attacked first. No warning. No mercy. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Around her, the war room of Operation Silent Thunder felt like a tomb. Maps of the galaxy glowed faintly on the walls. For decades, the program had been funded in secret, hidden behind layers of civilian projects and coded budgets. Some called it paranoia. Others called it waste. Now, it was prophecy. Lisa finally spoke, her voice calm and cold. The galaxy has declared war on us. But they don't know what they've done. Most civilizations, when struck suddenly, respond with panic. Humanity did not. The Discovery's destruction was not announced to the public. To the average person, Earth was still on the cusp of peace, still dreaming of contact, still unaware of the predators circling in the dark. Behind closed doors, however, the old instincts awoke. Factories once dedicated to civilian tech began to receive orders for alloys that no one admitted existed. Research facilities with civilian labels accelerated projects in propulsion, stealth, and weapons systems that had been considered theoretical. Military academies quietly adjusted their curricula, emphasizing tactics of asymmetry, subterfuge, and annihilation. No parades. No speeches. No chest-beating declarations. Just silence. The same silence that had once cloaked wolf packs on ancient tundras. The silence that had haunted jungles where hunters waited with poison-tipped arrows. The silence of a predator that has chosen to stop pretending. Humanity had always been underestimated, even by itself. Compared to the galactic empires they had now glimpsed, Earth was young, unrefined, still carrying scars from wars it should have outgrown. And yet, it was precisely those scars that gave humanity something the galaxy lacked. Patience. Ruthlessness. A memory soaked in blood. For 500,000 years, other species had flourished under the banner of peace enforced by the Sera Empire, an empire so vast and so certain of its superiority that it no longer remembered the taste of true war. Their fleets were magnificent. Their technology dazzling. But their arrogance was their weakness. To them, humanity was prey. To humanity, the Sera Empire was merely the next empire to fall. Lisa Hayes sat with her inner circle, scientists, generals, intelligence directors. She played the recording one last time, Amy Parker's trembling voice etched with horror, "They're preparing to kill us." When it ended, Hayes stood, her eyes like iron. "We will not rush. We will not flinch. We will not scream to the heavens about revenge. We will watch. We will listen. We will wait. And when we move, they will not see us until it is too late." Her words carried the weight of a species shifting from innocence to inevitability. And so, humanity began its shadow war. Recon drones, cloaked in experimental stealth, slipped quietly into deep space. They did not seek battle. They sought understanding, ship formations, supply routes, vulnerabilities in the armor of an empire that believed itself invulnerable. Colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan expanded their industries under the guise of civilian growth, but their production was redirected into things no civilian would ever touch. Railguns capable of punching holes through moons, warheads small enough to fit in a single cargo crate, yet powerful enough to erase fleets. On Earth itself, the greatest secret of all unfolded. A shipyard buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean began construction of vessels that no one outside the program even knew existed. Each one was designed not for exploration, but extermination. Yet still, the galaxy saw nothing. To them, Earth was quiet. Weak. Wounded. It was exactly the illusion humanity needed. But not all species in the galaxy were blind. Whispers began to spread in shadowed marketplaces on distant moons. Traders who brushed too close to Sol spoke of movements they couldn't explain. A freighter captain swore he saw an asteroid change trajectory as if guided by hidden engines. An information broker sold data on strange transmissions that pulsed briefly, then vanished into silence. Most dismissed these as rumors. But some remembered the stories told by the Harari. A neutral, ancient species that spoke rarely, but whose words were never ignored. Beware the humans. They are not what they seem. For centuries, the Harari had warned that a predator lay dormant on a small blue world. That one day, if provoked, it would awaken. Few listened. Now, those few began to wonder if the Harari had been right all along. Inside her command center, Lisa Hayes studied intercepted transmissions from Sera Empire fleets. They spoke of the Discovery's destruction as if it were a triumph, a simple extermination of vermin who had strayed too far. Lisa almost smiled. "They don't realize," she said softly, "that when they fired on the Discovery, they did not just kill a crew. They gave humanity permission." Her aide stared, waiting. "Permission," she continued, "to stop pretending to be explorers. Permission to become what we have always been. Survivors. Hunters. Apex predators. And predators do not forgive. They do not forget. They wait until the moment is perfect. And then they strike." Across the galaxy, the Sera Empire basked in its supremacy, unbothered by whispers, unafraid of prey. Its admirals held feasts in crystal halls, laughing about the humans who thought themselves ready for the stars. But in the silence of Earth's hidden shipyards, something new was rising. Something older than the Empire itself. Something that carried within it every memory of fire humanity had ever endured. For 500,000 years, the galaxy had been quiet. Peaceful. Stable. The Sarah Empire believed it had tamed chaos. But peace is not natural. Peace is an illusion maintained only until the predators return. And humanity, the long-sleeping predator, had just opened its eyes. What do you think, explorers? If humanity's first response was silence, patience, and preparation, would that make us more terrifying than open war? Tell me your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe, because in part 3, the galaxy begins to realize too late what it has awakened. For months, the galaxy laughed. The Sarah Empire boasted of its easy triumph against the Discovery. Senators toasted the victory as proof of their eternal dominion. Admirals dismissed Earth as nothing more than a primitive nuisance. The destruction of one fragile vessel meant nothing to them. But then, strange reports began to spread. A supply convoy vanished without a trace along the Zaylar trade lane, its escorts reduced to drifting wreckage, sliced apart with surgical precision. No survivors. No signals. Only silence. A mining outpost in the Vale Nebula went dark. Rescue ships arrived to find the entire facility gutted, its power cores stolen, its defenses bypassed as if by an enemy that knew their exact weaknesses. And then came the message. A single transmission, broadcast not in the Sarah tongue, not in any galactic language, but in English. The words were cold, measured, terrifyingly human. You declared war. We accept. Panic rippled across the outer colonies. Fleets scrambled, governors demanded answers, but none came. The empire was vast, bloated, overconfident, and for the first time in 500,000 years, something was moving against it. Something invisible. The admirals scoffed, of course. They assumed it was pirates. Rebels. Rogue mercenaries. No one truly believed that Earth, a single unproven world on the galactic fringe, could strike so deeply, so quickly. But as the attacks grew bolder, doubt crept in. A warship stationed at Denker's Gate was found adrift, its crew suffocated when its oxygen systems failed. The ship itself was untouched, every weapon intact, every system functional, except for a single phrase carved into the captain's chair. We are watching. For the Sarah Empire, war had always been a grand performance, fleets colliding in the void, banners flying, glory won through spectacle. But humanity had no interest in spectacle. They did not announce their movements. They did not fight where the enemy was strongest. They struck in shadows, dismantling the empire piece by piece, until even its citizens began to whisper of ghosts in the dark. The Harari, that ancient, neutral race who had always kept to themselves, broke their silence with a chilling warning. The humans are not fighting you. They are studying you. The words were dismissed, but unease spread. Because it was true. Every raid, every disappearance, every subtle incision into the Empire's armor was not random. It was data. Humanity was learning. Mapping weaknesses. Testing limits. Preparing for something larger. The Empire had awakened a predator it did not understand. General Lisa Hayes watched the chaos unfold with the same cold patience she had demanded from her people. From her war room on Earth, she studied intercepted transmissions of senators panicking, admirals scrambling, colonies begging for protection. And then she gave the order. Phase 2. It began with the Battle of Rin Delta. Or rather, the slaughter of it. A Sarah fleet of 30 warships entered the system, expecting another trivial patrol. Instead, they found nothing, until space itself seemed to ignite around them. Asteroids that had drifted harmlessly for millennia unfolded into concealed weapons platforms. Railguns fired from impossible ranges. Warheads erupted from cargo pods that had been disguised as freighters. Within minutes, half the fleet was gone. The survivors fled, screaming for reinforcements. But as they warped away, they realized the truth too late. The humans had not been defending Rin Delta. They had chosen it. A trap laid weeks, perhaps months, in advance. Predators setting the bait. News of the defeat spread like wildfire. For the first time, the Sera Empire had lost not to rebellion, not to civil unrest, but to an external force. To prey that refused to be prey. Lisa Hayes watched the footage without expression. Then she whispered, "Now they begin to understand." And yet, in the shadows of this growing storm, another presence stirred. The Harari had spoken cryptically for centuries about the architects. Most dismissed it as myth, an allegory whispered by a species that saw too much. But in the aftermath of Rin Delta, strange anomalies began to ripple across the galaxy. Entire star systems flickered with energy signatures that matched nothing known. Ancient ruins, long dismissed as meaningless, pulsed faintly with light as if reawakening. And across the Harari enclaves, one phrase spread like wildfire. The architects are watching. For humanity, the architects were only whispers. But for the Empire, the name was poison. 500,000 years ago, the galaxy had nearly been destroyed. The Sera Empire had risen from the ashes of that near extinction, vowing to maintain control so no such threat would ever rise again. But the threat had never vanished. It had only waited. And now, as humanity struck fear into the Empire, the architects began to stir. Lisa Hayes convened her council in the deep chambers beneath the Pacific shipyards. The atmosphere was heavy, charged. "We have begun to turn the Empire against itself," she said. "But something else is moving. Something older. Something even they fear." Her scientists displayed the anomalies, the flickering ruins, the transmissions no one could explain. Lisa listened in silence, then said the words that chilled even her most hardened generals. "We are not the only predators awakening." In the great halls of the Sera Empire, the admirals finally ceased their laughter. Their fleets doubled patrols, their senators silenced their boasting. For the first time in centuries, their arrogance faltered. They had provoked humanity. And in doing so, they had shaken the galaxy awake. Because the galaxy now faced two truths it could no longer ignore. 1. Humanity was not prey. It was a hunter, patient and merciless. 2. Something far older, far darker, was rising in the shadows. And between them, the illusion of peace that had lasted 500,000 years began to shatter. So, explorers, here is the question: was the galaxy's true mistake underestimating humanity, or did humanity's awakening simply signal the return of something far worse? Tell me what you think below, and don't forget to subscribe, because this story is only beginning.